Ryan Larson case. He's the La Vista boy with autism who disappeared in May of 2021.
Tonight, our Marlo Lundak joins us now live in studio with an update involving a court filing. Marlo.
John Lauren, Ryan Larson's case has stumped local and national investigators since he walked out of La Vista West Elementary School almost 2 years ago. And after months of no leads and no updates, Ryan's mother has filed a petition that would presume the boy dead. The family of Ryan Larson describes the boy as one of a kind.
He's kind of shy at first if he doesn't know you. But once he gets to know you, he'll talk your ear off. But just a very, very sweet boy.
His mother, Tammy, and sisters, Kayla and Taylor, spoke with me 5 months after the then 11-year-old walked out of school on May 17th, 2021.
We honestly believe he's still out there, and, people need to keep looking in their everyday lives.
But after close to 2 years of no answers, Ryan's mother filed a petition this month in Sarpy County Court that would presume him to be dead. Court documents also indicate her intention to go after the Papillion La Vista School District.
I think we totally understand where the family's coming from. I can't imagine the trauma you would feel from having a child disappear. So our heart breaks for Ryan's family. It has since it first happened, and it continues to. I think as far as who's responsible, I think that's really for the courts to figure out.
In an affidavit, Tammy Larson claims employees of the school saw Ryan leave and that no action was taken to retrieve him. Documents go on to say that she believes he is dead due to the school and district's negligence.
We had processes in place prior to Ryan's disappearance, but I think that this just made us all rethink and reevaluate and say, are there things that we should have done or could have done different?
Since Ryan's disappearance, the school says it's updated its protocols to try to prevent anything like this from happening again. They've also added cameras to every elementary school in the district, something they didn't have when Ryan disappeared. And court documents also claim that the La Vista Police Department told Tammy Larson that Ryan's case has now gone cold, but this afternoon, La Vista Police Chief Bob Lawston tells me they are still investigating, and they were not aware of any court filings until we called them. The hearing is scheduled for February 21st.
Officials told me they could have never imagined that days before the end of the school year, one of their own would have gone missing. Still, yet to be found. I sat down with the Papillion La Vista School District spokesperson about that day and how things have changed since, allowing parents to feel their kids are safe.
I think every single day since Ryan has disappeared, we've asked what if.
Papillion La Vista School District officials wonder how school cameras might have made a difference in helping find Ryan Larson. 1 year ago, Larson walked out of La Vista West Elementary School. The now 12-year-old has yet to be found.
It's everyone's worst nightmare. The fact that a student left the building and has not been found is something that I know the staff in that building and everyone in the school district thinks about every single day.
Elementary schools in the Papillion La Vista School District do not have security cameras. Middle and high schools do. District spokesperson Annette Iman says it's always been in the long-term plan, but it was a budget issue until now. The district is using COVID relief money to install them, saying Larson's disappearance accelerated the plan. At the time he walked out of the building, students were switching classes. Last year, school officials told KMTV they noticed he was missing within about 5 minutes.
It was a tragic day for the staff, for the students, and for the entire community. To have a student go missing and not be found in the next hour or several hours and then days.
In the past year, the district has looked at protocols, evaluating and learning what they could be doing different to help parents feel safe. They say they're now making sure all staff members in a building are aware of those students who may be more likely to run. Also, having more eyes on kids while they switch classes. While the district works to prevent this from happening again, the school community carries Larson with them every day. Today, some teachers and students wore green clothing or ribbons to support Larson. The school sent out an email earlier this week to parents about the one-year anniversary. They have counselors available all week, but are allowing parents to have that conversation with their children, saying everyone handles it differently. Reporting live in the studio, Alyssa Curtis, 3 News Now.
The last time investigators say they believe Ryan Larson was seen was at his apartment complex here near 83rd and Harrison, about an hour and 50 minutes after he left his elementary school. But they also believe that he was caught on camera here near the VISTA Kino, a few minutes before. But they are sending that surveillance video off to the FBI to be evaluated because they're not quite sure if it's Ryan. They want to be sure before they release any of that footage out. VISTA police are asking anyone who was in this area last Monday to go back and search their memories for anything they may have noticed.
Think back, if you may have seen something, if you may have seen Ryan, the young man, our 11-year-old missing boy.
VISTA police say they are also working with authorities from Hammond, Indiana, where they had a very similar case here recently in which a child with autism had gone missing. They're putting some of those tips into action by lowering the water at Walnut Creek and things like that. But again, that 11-year-old is still missing. The VISTA police are asking anyone who is out and about this Memorial Day weekend to keep an eye out for anything odd, and that includes odd smells. They say if you notice anything out of the ordinary, to call the police immediately. Reporting live in VISTA, I'm Jessica Edson with 3 News Now.
And if you see Ryan, call 911. If you have any information that can help investigators, call the VISTA Police Department or the Sarpy County Sheriff's Office. The numbers are listed right there on your screen.
You can find more information about the search for Ryan on our app and website. That's 3newsnow.com.
And it's a day that should be spent in celebration. Instead, it's a somber reminder the VISTA boy is still missing.
I just want him home safe, and it's really hard to keep up hope when they're missing 3 weeks.
The Find Ryan Larson group held an event Tuesday night at Central Park. Ryan's family was there, but they didn't speak. Instead, they passed along a statement for the organizer to read.
Ryan has big dreams, so we need to find him and bring him home so he can accomplish every one of them.
Neighbors wrote thank you notes to officers, signed birthday cards, and brought gifts for when Ryan returns home.
There's some Bible quotes in here that I hope will soothe the family a little bit. I bought him a soccer ball and some cards and some bracelets.
Jessica Wilbert is a mom of a child living with autism. Her family is there to show his family they have their back.
This could be any one of us, so it's scary to know that this can happen, that anyone can just walk out and disappear, so very, very scary.
Ryan Whittakin shared Ryan's mother's words, pleading for people to not give up hope.
Ryan is still out there, and we are very lost without him. They just want him to come home. So please, I'm begging you, do not stop searching.
Sarpy County judge on if Ryan Larson will be pronounced legally dead. He's been missing almost 2 years.
Marlo Lundak was in court today and joins us now live in the studio with more. Marlo, good afternoon.
John Lauren, today's hearing lasted all of 35 minutes, and the judge heard from Ryan Larson's mother, Tammy, who filed a petition last month requesting to pronounce her son dead. Tammy was questioned heavily about Ryan's numerous disabilities, and she stated several times that he isn't capable of taking care of himself. She says Ryan can't complete tasks like tying his shoes or making himself lunch. Attorneys for the family also focused on how law enforcement searched Walnut Creek, and Ryan's mother testified that he cannot swim. The judge was asked to consider presuming the boy dead because of these factors, which they say put the now 13-year-old boy in, quote, enhanced danger. Following the hearing, attorneys told us why they aren't waiting 5 years, which is when Nebraska law officially calls a missing person dead.
We're doing it now because we think it's necessary. In order for the Larson family to pursue their legal rights against the school district, for the negligence of the school district, we think it's a necessary step to go through this proceeding.
Is there a statute of limitations for when they can or can't make that claim against the school?
We think so, and we think it's approaching, and that's why we're doing this now.
Now, attorneys spoke for the Larson family today. They told me they will always have some hope that Ryan will be found, but that this step needs to be taken to hold responsible parties accountable. Now, La Vista's police chief Bob Lawson was originally subpoenaed to testify today in court. He was fighting that subpoena, saying the details of Ryan's disappearance investigation needed to remain confidential. Just before today's hearing, attorneys for the Larson family withdrew that subpoena, saying they had everything they need to make their case. John, Lauren.
Searching for days, looking in high trees and low in the sewers. You can see the scope of that search on the map we have right up there. And it goes from La Vista West Elementary all the way to Walnut Creek. La Vista police told volunteers yesterday to head more west into Ralston to start searching. 3 News Now reporter Alyssa Curtis has been covering this story since yesterday. Alyssa, what has it been like the last 48 hours?
Hi, Courtney. Well, it's been all hands on deck, and I'm here at Walnut Creek, and this is where police told volunteers to move to earlier today. There was quite a large group searching these trails and these creeks, and like you said, police have told the community now that they will take it from here. They do not need any more volunteers as the search for Ryan continues. Larson was seen at school by an employee around noon on Monday, when he was moving from one classroom to another. A teacher from the class he was supposed to be going to realized he didn't show up. According to Papillion La Vista Community Schools, the Larson family and police were notified within 5 minutes of teachers noticing Ryan wasn't where he was supposed to be. We now know that a local business by Southfield Apartments, where Ryan lives, did catch him on camera walking by. This was between 1:30 and 2 in the afternoon on Monday after he left school. According to police, this was the last credible sighting. Police believe he's hiding from them, but say that they're looking at all options. Larson does have autism, which experts say may make it more difficult to find him or communicate with him if someone does see him.
Depending on where he falls on the spectrum, he may not understand that I'm cold, and that's why I'm feeling this way, or why I'm feeling sleepy, or why I have these shivers, and I need to go seek help, and not knowing what's help, who's help, where's help.
Representatives from the Autism Center for Nebraska say those who experience autism oftentimes do not have the same problem-solving abilities. Police say that Larson is high-functioning on the autism spectrum, but is nonverbal with those he is not comfortable with.
To be as unobtrusive as possible in their search. And again, if they would just happen to see someone, to maybe keep him in eyesight, but they're not try to visit with them or to run toward them, but rather instead to stay back, maintain that distance, and make a phone call so that someone who is acquainted with this individual could come in and try to work with him.
Now that he's been missing for 3 days, officers are worried about his health and safety. Again, the La Vista Police Department says at this point they do not need any more volunteers, but to continue to be on the lookout. And if you do see Larson, don't yell out his name or approach him. Just call 911 immediately. Reporting in Papillion, Alyssa Curtis, 3 News Now.
A lot of really helpful information there, especially on approaching him. Now, Alyssa, you said that they're looking at bodies of water right now. Did police say why?
Yeah, Courtney, so the police have learned from his family that he likes to hide, especially in trees or in bodies of water, as you said, those tighter areas that volunteers might not have looked at. So officers asked and reminded the community to search low around trees and around those low-lying areas in water.
All right, thank you. Salvation Army is also stepping up to support volunteers and first responders looking for Ryan. This group has been out the past 2 days handing out water and snacks, but they weren't the only ones helping. Volunteers even helped the Salvation Army stay supplied by donating extra water. Captain John Ganter with the Salvation Army, he says this effort is exactly what he expects from the community.
The community is gracious enough to either donate to help the Salvation Army or help their community, or, like in this case, give their time and really walk around. It's muddy. I've seen people covered in mud looking for Ryan.
And as the search continues for Ryan, we want to share some helpful numbers for you. Take a look. You can see the number for the Sarpy County Sheriff's Office as well as the La Vista Police Department. You should call those numbers if you have any helpful information.
Ryan Larson against the Papillion-La Vista School District. The lawsuit claims that the special needs child was left unsupervised the day he went missing, and that school staff didn't immediately attempt to locate him.
Judge said that Ryan's family failed to prove school officials violated the boy's civil rights under the Constitution. New tonight, our Marla Lundak spoke with La Vista Police about where exactly Ryan Larson's case stands.
John Aaron, it's been almost 2.5 years, 898 days since Ryan Larson walked out of La Vista West Elementary School in May of 2021. Although efforts made by his family to hold someone accountable for his disappearance have failed in the courts, police say they're still working on the case like any other.
We will keep working it until we find Ryan.
Captain Todd Armbrust is with the La Vista Police Department.
I don't like to use the word cold, but I understand the analogy.
He says Ryan Larson's case, although nearly 2.5 years old now, is still very much active.
We do still follow up on leads, tips as we get them. It is not as active as it was when it initially happened. It's been some time, substantial period of time has elapsed, but it is an open, active investigation.
Nowadays, he says tips and sightings are much more infrequent, but they've come from as far as the East Coast.
Somebody thinks they saw someone who looks like Ryan, then we'll call that jurisdiction and ask them to follow up on it.
Just like for the rest of us, Ryan Larson's disappearance remains a mystery to officials.
It's just hard to fathom that someone could literally just vanish, especially in 2021 with how many people there are and cameras and cell phones and things like that.
But that doesn't mean they've given up hope.
I'm hopeful that Ryan is still alive and that Ryan is out there, and that's the message that we at the La Vista Police Department want to put out there. Until we can prove otherwise, that's the way we are going to look at it, and we want people to think that way and think in a positive manner for Ryan and for Ryan's family and his loved ones.
On your side in La Vista, Marla Lundak, 6 News.
Ryan was 11 when he went missing. He's now 13. Officials say he likely looks a little different from the pictures that are shared of him. They say anyone who sees someone who might look like him to call La Vista Police or 911.
The boy with special needs disappeared almost 3 years ago after walking out of La Vista West Elementary. The lawsuit alleges negligence, saying the school failed to act on its duties to supervise Larson.
Well, the district's attorneys say they are immune from the suit. KTV News Watch 7's Jessica Perez is here in the studio with more. Jessica?
A federal judge dismissed a lawsuit last year after ruling Tammy Larson's attorneys did not have a federal claim. At the time, she was hoping to get Ryan Larson declared legally dead so she could sue the Papillion-La Vista Community Schools. Nebraska law says a person needs to be missing for 5 years to get a death certificate. That case didn't end up in her favor. Now she's suing the district for negligence. People searched through thick brush and in the dark with flashlights, while authorities scoured the depths of Walnut Creek. But nearly 3 years later, there's still no sign of Ryan Larson.
It's been 1,036 days since Ryan disappeared, since he walked out of that school.
In November 2023, his mom, Tammy Larson, filed a lawsuit against Papillion-La Vista Community Schools. One of her attorneys, Sean Conway, says this case is about holding the district accountable.
For allowing Ryan, a special needs boy, to just walk out of the school, and for their negligence. They've been avoiding responsibility all of this time.
Recently, the school district filed a motion to dismiss the case. Its attorney, Chuck Wilbrand, argued it has sovereign immunity. He says a negligence case cannot be brought against the district for exercising their care responsibilities in line with policy. Wilbrand says the district was following Ryan's individualized education plan. Conway says that's not true.
He was supposed to be supervised as someone who had a history of walking out of school. That supervision didn't happen. The school district didn't do its job.
Larson's attorneys say Ryan was left alone in a classroom and staff allowed him to walk out of the school. They argued the district did not act on policy, but staff made the choice to let Ryan leave. The district also argues Tammy Larson could not seek damages since the victim is Ryan, and no one's seen him or knows what the damage is.
1,036 days since he's been able to capably take care of himself as an 11-year-old boy. If there isn't damage to anyone in that period of time, then I don't know what would constitute damage.
Update on the search efforts.
La Vista police say they're not done looking for Ryan just yet. Today they continued their search in the area surrounding the apartment complex where he was last seen and where they believe he may have been caught on video.
Is anything that Ryan had with him? You haven't found any of that?
We found nothing. And what we believe he had, we have no idea what he had with him.
For 2 weeks, La Vista police have not found a single physical trace of Ryan Larson. They say at this point their leads are few and far between as they continue to search for the missing 11-year-old in the area they're calling Ground Zero.
Hello. Hey. I'm Detective Jessica. Come in, please.
2 hours after he left his elementary school, Larson was spotted by a neighbor at his apartment complex. Around the same time, a surveillance video at the La Vista Kino across the street captured a person Larson's mother has ID'd as her missing child.
It shows a figure wearing dark clothing, kind of dancing around a little bit, hiding behind a pole.
With police seeming to just miss the child with autism who has a history of hiding.
I believe we see a cruiser drive by in the back of the video.
The police also continue to search Walnut Creek, a spot Larson was familiar with, and a spot that continues to get reaction from cadaver dogs.
So there's something in Walnut Creek, but again, it's just such a pile, I guess, underneath.
Larson says they're not done searching for Ryan just yet, and they're hoping something will lead them in the right direction soon.
Now, Jessica, there have been several hits by cadaver dogs at the Walnut Creek, but police have not found anything. What's getting in the way of that?
Well, the search teams say that the weather and currents in Walnut Creek have been changing quite a bit over the past few weeks, so they were actually expecting for something to come to the surface by this point. But there's a lot of underbrush and mud in Walnut Creek that's been making it hard to search. And even after they drained those 10 feet of water the other day at Walnut Creek, there are portions that are 25 feet deep.
Now, Chief Lawson also mentioned surveillance video of Ryan from the day he went missing and then went into detail about that today. Why haven't police shared that with the public?
Well, Ryan's mother did ID him on the footage, but police have sent that video to Quantico, where the FBI is currently working to enhance the image. They're wanting to know for certain that the video is of Ryan before releasing it.
All right, thank you for joining us, Jessica. We'll continue to follow this story and update you with any new developments we get.
Let's take a look at a map real quick to figure this out. The gist of the story is he's at school, and considering the location they're talking about, it looks like it's likely La Vista West Elementary School. And they're changing classrooms in the middle of the day. I don't know if they run it with kind of having different periods where you go to different classes, or if there was some type of function or event that happened where effectively he was changing classrooms at that time. But that's the last time anyone saw him, and then it seems like he just kind of left. He left school. This walking trail that I have highlighted here is to his home. His home is at the Southfield Apartments, and that is about a half mile away from his school. Over at WFLA, we get another kind of big cause for concern. Missing 11-year-old Nebraska boy with autism searched how to hide from police. And there's something else I kind of want to show you. He seems to, I don't know if he likes to play that he's acting like a police officer. There is a picture of him here where you can see he's got a mask on. He's wearing a little police badge around his neck. You can't really see it in this picture so much. You can see it better in other ones, but he's got like a little Nerf gun or some kind of toy blaster. He's got a little compass attached to him. And here, to me, it kind of seems like he's emulating wanting to be a police officer. And kind of with some of the comments I've seen from his family, they're talking about him wanting to get into some type of community service. So I'm kind of curious about that search term. Why would he be searching on how to hide from police? I'm almost wondering, was he searching on that kind of in a reverse way? Like, you know, sometimes in the work I do interesting searches like that because I'm kind of looking for information that criminals might be considering. How would they hide from police? Because if you have that information, maybe you could figure out the mechanisms they're using to hide, and then that might lead you to some type of conclusion or better information. So let's continue here. This is an article from May 20th, 2021. La Vista police say 11-year-old Ryan Larson walked out of his elementary school Monday morning and hasn't been seen since. Police say the child has a history of hiding from his family and has a habit of hiding in small spaces. really troubling information when we're talking about a missing persons case that's been going on this long. But officials say he's never been missing for days at a time. Police say a search of the family's computer showed Ryan had conducted online searches using the phrases hiding from the police, hiding underground, and how to avoid being spotted. And from what I understand from some other articles, I think he was actually searching on those terms here on YouTube. Let's continue over at Crime Online with some more details. 11-year-old Ryan Larson was last seen around midday Monday at school in La Vista, Nebraska. He's believed to have slipped out during a classroom change. Investigators appear to be considering additional possibilities after previously saying they believed Larson was intentionally hiding. And that's something that you're going to see as kind of a trend as we're going through this information today. There's a very strong belief right off the bat that, he's essentially a runaway of some type. He's looked up this information and he's trying to hide from police. As time goes on, as search efforts happen and those doors kind of get closed, we're going to see that the police, they change their thinking a little bit in terms of possible scenarios that are going on here. And quite honestly, by the time we get to the end of today's episode, I think you're going to see that they're worried that there's some component that we haven't accounted for, possibly some type of foul play element or something that could have happened to him after he ran off and went on this adventure. La Vista Police Captain Jeremy Kinsey said at a news conference that Larson was very high functioning and has a history of hiding and running away. Quote, "He's playing the ultimate game of hide and seek on us now, and he's winning." John Francavilla from the La Vista Police Department said Thursday morning the investigators are not ruling out various possibilities for the boy's disappearance. "We have to look at it. Is this a criminal matter? Is he playing hide and seek? Is this a little boy who got in trouble and unfortunately has passed due to that? We're looking at all angles. Our concentration is finding Ryan and bringing him home to his family." Francavilla continued, "With autism, from some of the stuff we've been getting from the experts, while the normal person, we need food, we need water, we need sleep, to him, he's mission driven. So he will supersede all those needs and continue on with his mission to where it would affect us, it's not affecting him the way that it would us." That's a really interesting consideration. It's something I wasn't aware of before I looked into this case. And also scary, because if he pushes himself past those points, isn't taking care of himself with nourishment, particularly, in these first days, worrying about water, but as long as this has been going on, absolutely food, could that put him in a dangerous spot as well? It's day 4 in the search for missing 11-year-old Ryan Larson. Police, FBI agents, and hundreds of community members have pitched in to help bring him home. As we frequently see with missing children cases, this community rushes to action. The police department, they throw a ton of resources into this. They start reaching out to other departments, calling in for help. But I want to always, as I'm going through these cases, I want to highlight the communities and the strong things that are happening around there. An Omaha area business is doing its part by dedicating its digital billboard to the search. Quote, "At our staff meeting this morning, we all agreed we should use our digital billboard solely for this purpose," said ServPro of Omaha Southwest Operations Manager Brian Johnson. And here are some of the graphics that they had made up to show up on that billboard. And I think it's really cool that they're doing that and dedicating that billboard to basically posting this message. I know on some of those digital billboards, they can kind of flicker through several different ads. You never know when that one person's driving by, and if that billboard happens to not be on the right image, they could potentially miss it. But I think that's really good of ServPro to step up and do that. Also here at KETV, some neighbors are doing their part to hopefully encourage Ryan to go home. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. He was in the clip we started this video with. At the end of his driveway, Ryan Wendekin makes a plea to the missing 6th grader. Quote, "Letting him know that the water's for him, he's not in any trouble, he's missed, he's loved, it's okay to go home," Wendekin said. Along with the note, Wendekin and his fiancée left water bottles, Gatorade, and soda out for Ryan. They're hoping for his safe return. At the school, Director of Communications Annette Iman said that they've had counselors available for staff, teachers, and students since Tuesday. That's another thing. I don't know if many of you experience this, but whenever there's a big tragedy to one particular student at a school, it really ripples across the school community as well. It can affect other students. Obviously, they're also looking out for the staff and the teachers here. But in this case, we also have the autistic community that is being affected by this. I've seen comments from families saying, you know, this is our worst nightmare. This absolutely could have been us. But they're also noting it's affecting their children that are on the spectrum as well. There's just a lot of fears about what could have happened to Ryan that are bubbling up for everyone. As a matter of fact, here's a quote from Iman. It's everyone's worst nightmare. It's a parent's worst nightmare. It's a teacher, it's a staff's worst nightmare. We're all just trying to be optimistic and hope for his quick return, Iman said. And honestly, I've been hoping for that too. I've been tracking this case for a couple of weeks and just was really hoping, okay, we're going to see this turnaround. We're going to see him pop back up. Unfortunately, we're here and we're making an episode. Federal agencies now involved in search for missing La Vista boy. So you can see very, very quickly, May 20th, we've already got federal resources being pulled for this as well. Police put together another search party at the creek near Brookhaven Park. If we take a look back at the map real quick, you'll see that kind of near where he would have been walking around. For water sources, we've got a little bit of a creek here, a little bit of a creek up here, another creek down here, a couple water sources. I think this is a golf course here. So it seems like they've got a big concern about that. We're going to learn a little bit more why later. And Walnut Creek Recreation Park looks like it has a pretty considerable water source as well. And that kind of becomes a focal point, not the water source necessarily, but that area for the investigation, which we'll learn more about. Police also went door to door at Larson's apartment complex. Canines are being utilized. Officers also searched Walnut Creek Recreation area for a second time in hopes that a smaller group might be less intimidating for Larson if he was hiding there. That's another thing. The family was very clear very early on that this is a young man that could be scared off pretty easy, probably doesn't want to interact with strangers. As a matter of fact, the police department was putting out the information that if you come across him, don't approach him. Keep him in sight, call 911, get some law enforcement there immediately. So we've got a tricky aspect in terms of this investigation right from the start, outside of the fact that it seems like he's motivated to be hiding from people. But on top of that, just in terms of general social interaction, he's probably going to shy away from strangers, which once again points out why that neighbor's idea of putting notes out and leaving, Gatorade and water for him might be a good approach. I'm really glad people are thinking along those lines. The Sarpy County Search and Rescue Team utilized boats to search the ponds near the La Vista Central Park. Drive around La Vista and you'll see people out walking and taking an extra peek in shrubs and bushes. Now, federal agencies are helping with the search, including the FBI and, of course, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Some of those things that we provide are search and rescue management, technical support, investigative recommendations and strategies, equipment resources, and then there's a team that also helps families in these situations, says Jonathan Larson, no relation, with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And that's part of the reason why we make a donation to them every single month. NCMEC is just in the right place, taking the right actions, trying to help in these tough situations. Leslie Bishop Hartung with the Autism Center of Nebraska says it's important to remember every person who is on the autism spectrum is different. Quote, when we work with people that particular end of the spectrum, what we typically will see are people are maybe very concrete thinkers who maybe would not recognize a verbal idiom very quickly and might take it literally, said Bishop. She also says the best thing the public can do is support the family and be empathetic. And that's a really important one that I just want to highlight for this case in particular. I think from what I can see in these articles, there's some type of social media push or backlash going on towards the family because we're not seeing video clips of the mother speaking about her missing son, you know, crying for the cameras, doing all that kind of stuff, which admittedly, when I'm speaking to family